Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking some time this morning. It's March 26th. This is our meeting of the Indiana State Council on Interstate Compact. The first item on our agenda is the December 4th meeting minutes. April sent those out in advance. If everyone's had a chance to read through them. If there are any suggestions, edits, changes, we're happy to talk about those now if they look correct to you. If anyone has a motion to approve the minutes, we'll go ahead and take that.
I move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Devin. All right, there's been a motion and a second to approve the minutes. If there's no more discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Perfect. Several ayes and then maybe some muted ayes, and good enough, no nays. All right, minutes are approved. We'll go ahead and move through the agenda then. You may notice it's a slightly different format this time. We kind of looked at it and it may streamline the meeting process a little bit to combine some of the things that were identical between the adult and the juvenile compact process. But we'll start within that agenda item with the adult compact state and internal compliance matters. And April, I will hand it over to you for that.
Good morning. So for state and internal compliance, we were Nita and I have been going through the information for the national office. They released 6 compliance dashboards. One of them was for the reporting instructions. And the main issue with the reporting instructions were if an offender was sentenced after the offender was in the receiving state and they were sentenced and the reporting instructions were not submitted within 7 days, then we had to submit them as expedited and explain why we were submitting them 7 days after their sentencing date. Many states were just using this as a blanket to deny reporting instructions and ask that the transfer request be submitted. So they mainstreamed that. So if you are in the receiving state, living there at the time of sentencing, then you can go ahead and submit the reporting instructions without an expedited request. Another thing with the dashboard release is that they did multiple case supervision, dual supervision. So this changes how we're submitting cases. So if you're a unified state to a unified state, you would send both cases at once. If you're a unified state to a bifurcated state, you would submit one transfer request that includes the criminal case information and parole information separately. If you're a bifurcated state to a unified state, each agency would submit their transfer request separately and they would utilize the same offender number. If you're a bifurcated state to a bifurcated state, each agency would submit separate transfer requests and they would utilize the same offender information. That's kind of a lot. Do you guys have any questions about that part?
April, can you tell me again, what is a bifurcated state versus a non?
So bifurcated is when probation and parole are separate. And then the unified state is when the compact is under the same probation and parole. Okay, so the next enhancement was initiating activity from the offender profile. Many users were using, they were creating a new case from the activities tab. And so this kind of complicated things because there was old information in that within your transfer request, it would not be applicable to your case. So it was exporting in old information. So now we streamlined it at the national office and they want you to go under compact case tab to create offender profile. And this is just more user friendly. So the information from old case is not filtered in with your current case. And then the next one was managing expiration and supervision end dates. So now states can, if you have a sending state who has to change the end date or the supervision date due to a violation that was filed or a progress report and you want to adjust the dates, then there's a hyperlink now and you can upload that information from their court instead of having to send things separately. Is streamlined as well. There also enhances for the subsequent transfer. Basically, a subsequent transfer is when you're in state A and you want to transfer to state B to another state. However, you're still under supervision. So state A will continue supervision until the paperwork was submitted by the sending state, and then they would go from there. And then the other one was case closure replies. Nita, do you have anything to add for those 6 enhancements? No. Okay. And then we're moving on to the compliance. Fiscal year ends in June 30th for us. So Nita and I have been going through the cases and we're trying to clean up everything. We're going to be audited on the 6 enhancements that I just spoke about in ICOTS. One of our main things is that the photographs, even though the cases have been closed out, we still got audited on those old cases. So we're trying to go back through and make sure even our old cases have meet compliance with that. So they're doing quarterly compliance audits. Those begin July by the national office. Our state remains above compliance with that. And also, well, that's all for that. Do you have anything, Nita, to add?
Our counties, overall, Indiana has maintained compliance, but we have a couple counties who, during the pandemic, they were doing a lot of sentencing remotely. So they tended to push the envelope as far as how they were processing their cases. So we're now seeing a little bit of the aftermath of the catch up from those cases. So although we never closed and we did a very good job of keeping up with our and utilizing our backup procedures, we found 2 counties that were that did not actually follow through with their procedures. And so we're just keeping an eye on those cases, trying to see if that's going to affect compliance in any way. And then we will address those counties and see where that takes us. So other than 2 counties, we still maintain a high compliance, actually above where we should be. But even when maintaining compliance, you have those underlying factors that you still have to watch. So we're doing good.
For either of you, what is the compliance threshold? Is that a percentage of counties that are closing their cases or moving their cases correctly, or is it a statewide total?
We have to maintain 80%. That's the threshold. We are in most of our areas, we're 90% or above. If we are in the 80s, it's high 80s, 89% or higher. So we are usually always above the threshold for compliance. But with compliance, it fluctuates. So even though you can be in compliance, you can have areas where people are failing, but it averages itself out because you have other counties who may have high compliance. So you still want to watch and be careful what's happening down in the local areas. And that's what we're doing.
Bernice, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Did you have a question?
Oh, no worries. Thank you, Nita or April. So you mentioned that the audit is related to these new standards, but you're saying that you're going through past cases to make sure that they basically are at the standard of the new standards. But are the 2 of you doing that alone? Like do you have enough capacity to do that? And how far back are you going? And is there any support you need on that?
Okay, our fiscal year, it starts with July 1st of 2020 and it ends June the 30th of 2021. So at the end of that fiscal year, the audits usually will start on the national level. That's one audit. We have multiple type of audits. We have our internal audits where we constantly audit our local. Those are done on a daily and weekly basis. So daily, we audit our counties for their compliance of reports that are due daily. Weekly, we audit our counties for reports that are coming due on a monthly basis. So we're constantly measuring. We have 2 different compacts. So we have the adult compact that has to maintain compliance, and our juvenile compact. So there are, with the onboard of Ian, there will be 3 of us, but the 3 of us maintain 2 compacts. And there's, of course, 92 counties. So that's the 3 of us measuring those compacts along with Joel and Parole. So Joel is a one-man show and the 3 of us. So we maintain those compliance levels. So it's actually, we do what we can do.
That's
We
pretty
make it happen.
incredible.
We understand that failure to make compliance is a community safety concern. And so we understand the value of what could happen if compliance was not met. So those are faces and lives behind that. So there's no other option.
Well, great job, the 3 of you.
Thank you. So when April mentioned the audits regarding the new dashboards, those are the audits where the national audits measure how states are meeting their obligations. These dashboards are utilized to enhance the way they measure how states are meeting their own compliance. So we've always been measured, but there are some areas that have kind of slipped under the grid. So where you may do good and do good for a long time, there's some other areas that fall under play. So even though we're ahead of time and we have to go backtrack and look at old cases, that's because of the way the fiscal year ends. So it's after the fact. So even though we're moved on and we can do good in compliance, they want to see, how did you do in those months prior? Those cases that were closed, were they closed on time? The progress reports, were they submitted on time? When a state requested a progress report, did you submit it timely? So even though it's after the fact, they still need to know how well that state maintained those timeframes. Also, when she mentioned the photographs that we're going back through, the profiles are a foundation in the system. They're gonna always remain. Even if a case is closed, if I start a new case, I'm gonna start a new case on the old profile. So that while that photograph may have passed compliance and it's closed, I can open a case and now, I'm sorry, if that photograph missed compliance, an audit on an old compliance, sorry, if they run an audit and they didn't catch my photo on that audit, but it's still in the system, and I start a new case, they can run an audit again and catch that photograph on the new audit because it's still in the system. So it's very important, regardless if those cases are old, we need to clean that information up. So from the onset of that system, that information needs to be clean information. So we're going through cleaning up those profiles of cases from the beginning of time since we had cases in this system. So that's one of the things that we're doing, because at any time, one of our counties can start a case, and then now that activates that profile and it falls under our compliance. So it immediately can start out of compliance and we are unaware because it's an old profile. I hope that helps.
April, do you have other stuff for the adult compliance?
No.
Okay. Nita, do you have separate report for the juvenile compliance?
Yes. For the juveniles compact, we still remain in compliance. We are participating in case cleanup for the transition into Unity. That's still ongoing. As we're cleaning up for Unity, it's also doubling as a compliance audit, because we have to manually go through each case. One of the problems that we're running into is that for the transition into Unity, the makeup of JIDs did not account for the type of fields that we would need in the Unity system. So we have to make sure that all the files that will go into Unity can transport the appropriate information that's needed just for the basic file. So we're gonna have to manually go into each case and rename each document. So we just received a list of all of the documents inside of every juvenile file. So we are undergoing renaming all of those documents to ensure, so to make that a little bit plainer, if I do an import of 500 cases, there's going to be a dump of 500 documents just sitting in a pool. You want to be able to recognize what those documents are. And you want to make sure those documents go to the appropriate case. So if they're renamed, we can ensure that they're going into the appropriate juvenile file and it matches with the juvenile's case that it belongs to. So that's what we're doing to ensure the integrity of the information that we receive into Unity on those open cases. No closed cases will import into the system. Those cases will remain historical information in JIDs, and JIDs will be available only as view-only information by the compact office until, it was originally 1 year, but we found out it will be for 5 years. We'll have 5-year access, but it's access only. We will not be able to enter information, but in the event one of our counties need that information, we will have a record of it. That's all I have for it.
Anybody have any questions on the adult or juvenile compliance? Okay. If not, Nita, you want to go ahead with training?
Yes. We were able to offer the compact training at the juvenile judges orientation on March the 10th. And we were also able to, at their request, offer an adult training for Clark and Floyd counties. We offered an overview of the Interstate Compact, providing some background, the foundations of the compact. We had a couple of new judges, and this also covered their prosecutor, a few of their prosecutors, judges, and attorneys, to give them some oversight concerning supervision in the receiving state, how it's applicable, how the same type of supervision is applicable to interstate cases as it would to an offender that's sentenced in our own state, how offenders are afforded counsel, how we are able to apply sanctions as we would our own offenders. And so we were able to offer that training so that they are better able to supervise their cases in compliance with the compact.
Nita, if in the future, when you all are doing county-based trainings, if you could definitely let the Public Defender Council know, and we can just touch base with our attorneys in that county. I mean, not to expand your invitation list, but just to be sure that PDs are aware of this information and are properly, advising their clients and doing what they need to do on their end.
Absolutely.
Just to be helpful.
Absolutely.
Anything else on training, Nita, or questions for Nita? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the transition. You heard it mentioned today, and then I brought it up in December that Turan had left IOCS and her replacement. Ian is on the line now, but I'll hand it over to April to talk about where that process sits right now.
Ian started with our department March 8th. He came from community corrections. He has a supervisory role through community corrections. So he's a very valuable asset to our team. We are meshing well and we are getting things going. He's currently in training at the moment, but he's been handling cases and we've just been given scenarios on things so we can see if he has any questions or concerns before we completely roll him out to all of our counties and introduce him as the contact person for incoming cases. Ian, do you have anything to say or add?
I'm just in my 3rd week completing my training, like April had stated, and it's very similar to my old job at Marion County Community Corrections. So I think I'm a viable asset to the team.
Great. And, we're glad to have Ian on board. Bernice kind of hit on this. This is a big job with just a really small team looking at a lot of these. So Ian, glad to have you with us. Next, though, I'll give it to Nita you want to talk about the Unity update?
Yes. Uni is still slated to roll out May 2021. We are approaching our release of the training site. April the, on Monday, April the 5th, our training site will go live. That will go live first for the compact office. We will have 1 week prior to our field where we can actually submit cases. We were each state was submitted, each state was paired with another state where we can actually go in, submit cases, practice how those cases are transferred through the system, get familiar with all of the icons, how the system functions, so that when the actual system goes live in May, everyone is familiar and comfortable with the system. Any type of hiccups, we will already have those taken care of. So that we're looking forward to that, because we have the opportunity to actually, we call it a sandbox, to play in a sandbox before our field has a chance to do that. The good thing about that is we were paired with our neighbor state, which we do a lot of business with anyway. So those problems or issues that we have in our general business, we will be able to address those things while we're practicing in the sandbox. So that's a good thing. After the release of the training site, we will offer the sandbox to our local counties where they will have the opportunity to do the same. They can submit cases, and we can also offer a live training to our counties all at once. So that's an opportunity that we weren't afforded before. So we can train our entire state at the same time, and we can do it as a hands-on training. So they can actually see those things happening. They can see they can see the case move through the system, and they can be familiar with how that case moves through the new system. See the hover help, see the those added perks that we've put into the system and worked so hard to give them as a user-friendly experience. The manual is still in progress. We will also have PowerPoint training manual. We'll have the training manual, PowerPoint presentations. Right now, all of the trainings are web-based and they are on the LMS system. And that's about all we have for that.
Thank you, Nita. Any questions from anyone about the training process or the Unity update? Okay. Mary Kay, do you want to talk about the NCIC access for IOCS?
Sure. As discussed at the December meeting, Justin, on behalf of the council, submitted a request to Indiana State Police for the Indiana Office of Court Services to receive an ORI, which would allow us the ability to run IDACs or NCIC checks to determine warrant compliance. We did submit that last week, and I've heard back from Lieutenant Carmen at the State Police. He had a couple of questions for us. Based on the questions that he asked, I am optimistic that we will receive favorable consideration on this request, but I think we have a couple of logistical things to consider that hopefully he'll help us work through. So I'm going to be scheduling a call with Lieutenant Carmen next week to discuss if I have any questions or if I need any additional information from the council or any of you as members. I'll reach out to you directly. Hopefully, when I report back at the June meeting, we'll have a determination by State Police. Ideally, we would be able to have at least 2 operators within our office to be able to run the NCIC reports rather than having to rely on DOC and Joel to help us with that. So I will hopefully update you in June, and unless anybody has any questions, that's all I have on that.
Thanks, Mary Kay. And Senator Sandlin's not here, but can you cover the Interstate Compact Transportation Fund?
Yes, Senator Sandlin authored Senate Bill 98 for us, which is really expanding the authorized use for agencies that are able to access the Compact Transportation Fund. The Compact Transportation Fund is used for the purpose of extraditing offenders from other states when they're found to be in non-compliance and they're requiring retaking due to non-compliance with supervision conditions. That bill moved into the House. It went in front of the Ways and Means Committee this past Wednesday. Representative Davis sponsored the bill in the House. Senator Sandlin spoke on it to the committee, and I testified in favor of it, and the bill passed unanimously. So we're looking forward to that continuing to move through the House and hopefully being signed by the governor soon. Assuming it passes, there will not be any substantive changes to local procedures other than the fact that county councils can directly appropriate funds to a sheriff's office or community corrections rather than just appropriating funds to the probation department for transportation expenses.
Any questions on that from anyone? All right, thanks, Mary Kay. Any other business from either the staff or anyone on the council? Okay.
Justin, I have one piece of
ahead.
information just as an FYI. No action is requested on this, but 2021 is a rulemaking year for both the adult and juvenile compacts at the national level. We do rule amendments every other year. We're in the process of finalizing those proposed amendments at the national offices right now. Those will go out for public comment. So I anticipate at this council's June meeting that we will have rules to present for the council's consideration. One of the biggest rule amendments that I expect to present to the council is to change the timeframes for when warrants must be issued on the adult side. I happen to be the chair of the Adult Compacts Rules Committee. So it's a really good rule. It's cleaning things up. It's making some, promoting more consistency among the rules and warrant timeframes. So just be aware that we'll be presenting that information for the council's consideration in June.
Okay, thank you. And if you remember when we went through that, maybe it was 2 years ago, or it's one of those things where it's easier to throw up a rule proposal probably on a big screen somewhere. So we'll look at the best way to do that. I don't know that we'll necessarily do the meeting in person to pull that off, but we'll have something you guys can watch and edit and review while we go through the meeting process.
And
okay.
I have one more piece of update, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Justin had mentioned previously that when Turan left our office in November of last year, that left a vacancy in our adult deputy compact administrator for probation. So Justin has approved Angie Hensley Langrell with our office to serve as the adult DCA for probation. So that will allow Angie access to some of the national level meetings, and she'll be involved in discussions with other state level deputy compact administrators on the adult side. So we're very happy about that. Very grateful for Angie's willingness to get engaged in that. And that's really all this time, Justin. Thank you.
Okay, I'll say it anyway though. Any other business looking at Mary Kay's screen? Okay, Mary Kay remains on mute. All right, the meeting schedule for the rest of 2021 is on your agenda. We are still doing, at least from the Office of Judicial Administration IOCS process, meetings remotely. We are not doing in-person meetings with external folks, or really even in-person meetings with internal staff. When we start looking at June and October, I think June will still remain remote. By October, we may have made more of a shift back, so that potentially won't necessarily be a Zoom meeting. But right now, my going in position is that June will still be a remote meeting. So those invitations I think have gone out, so hopefully that's already on your calendar. If you don't have those days on your calendar, let April know and she'll send out an updated invite. Otherwise, if nobody has anything else, thanks everyone for taking time out of your morning. Good to see you all again. And I think that's all we have. We could take a motion to adjourn. Otherwise, I'll just hit the leave meeting button.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you. I won't ask for a second. I'll consider it adjourned.
Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.